Well, party people, we are back. After a week off, we are back because this man has been very, very hard to track down. So we've got Calum Maclean in the house tonight, this legend of a man. Lovely to see so many people jumping on already. It's like you almost expect it, which is fantastic. So Calum is actually on the shores of Loch Ness getting midged to death right now. So we're going to try and get him on and get this underway because he's getting eaten alive. So here he is. Let's get him on. Happy days. Hope you've all had a great Monday. Looking forward to the week ahead. This should be epic. Here we go. The big man is in the house. Here he is. Welcome along, buddy. How you doing?
Thank you. As you can see, I am enjoying life hugely right now. So I'm sitting, like I said, on the shores of Loch Ness, and I hope you can see on camera, there's thousands, at least hundreds or thousands of little midges flying around, these little biting insects here in Scotland. So that's why I'm covered up, but I'll take it off and reveal myself in a minute.
Can't see a thing, mate. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, here he is. Oh, don't do that. You'll only suffer for it. Right, mate. It's super cool to have you along. I know this has taken a bit of time to get sorted in that. With you're a very, very busy man, so I appreciate your time very much. For those of you who don't know you, you're a photographer, filmmaker, you're a presenter, but most amazingly, you're a wild swimmer, man. Which is pretty cool. So, and all round good bloke. It's incredible. When I put this out last night, when I put this out on my Insta last night to say that we were going to get it on, it's amazing the amount of people that phoned me. There's a lot of love out there for you, my man.
Oh, awesome! That's good to hear. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I think you've broken my cherry, popped my cherry for Instagram Live. So yeah, good on you.
Oh, nice one. I do that. I tend to do that to a lot of people, really, because I can't afford a podcast setup, so I just go Insta Live. It's the easiest way, mate. Easiest way, totally, yeah. So, mate, you're on the shores of Loch Ness. You're starting to get out and explore a bit, but I'd like to kick off with just talking a bit about your lockdown, because that's how we met during the lockdown. I was doing something stupid. Riding 240 miles on my indoor turbo trainer, and you came along and joined us and told us about some of the things you'd been up to, mate. So how's lockdown been for you, mate? Like, for the activities you've gone, you've kind of undertaken, and just like your mental space, because obviously you've been cut off from swimming, and that's obviously a big part of who you are. So how's that panned out for you, mate?
Yeah, so I mean, I love swimming, but I just love being outdoors and just exploring and being in wild places is what I really love. So I live in Inverness, which is good because you've got lots of interesting places all kind of around and near it. But still, in terms of like driving to travel anywhere, we've been pretty restricted in Scotland. We're still at kind of a 5 mile limit. So I'm here at Loch Ness, which is right beside Inverness, really. So that's quite good. And I found it really frustrating at first, not being able to do what I'd usually do, not being able to do what I want to do, losing freedom effectively. I found it really frustrating at first. So I had to kind of try and think, keep myself creative. What can I do to try and stay and be creative? So I took on some like ridiculous, similar to you maybe, but like easier physical challenges. I did a marathon round my house in the garden, then I walked 24 hours around the house in the garden. And that was enough. I was like, I'm calling it quits after 2 things. Like, you're meant to do things in 3s, I know that, but I was like, nah, that's going to do. So yeah, once kind of lockdown got eased a little bit in Scotland, I'd be managing to get out and swim like a bit more. And I've been doing a lot of cycling, actually, out on the roads. But still, sticking pretty close to home generally. And I'm just going to flip around here. I'm going to go for a swim. I'm just going to show you Loch Ness right here, right now.
Look at that.
Sensational conditions. So after this, or as part of it, maybe, who knows, I'm going to jump in there and go for a swim, yeah.
Mega. So anyway, you skimmed over those 2 things like they were pretty much, just super easy. So you ran a marathon around your house.
Yeah, it was kind of just, it was just on a whim, really. I saw a guy in Italy had done the same thing. I think he just used his balcony about 4 or 5 meters. And I wouldn't have the patience to do that. There's no way I could do that. But I've got a path that goes all the way around the house. It's a bungalow, and I thought, yeah, I could do a marathon there. So I had quite a few races planned this summer, kind of half marathons, and I was working as part of the Cape Wrath Ultra marathon, but that never went ahead. So I was like, yeah, I'm just going to give it a go and do it. And so I just started. Took me like 7.5 hours. So it wasn't the quickest marathon I've ever done. And I wrecked my toenails. They're actually starting to fall off now, like a couple of months later. But it was good fun. Yeah, I enjoyed doing it. It kept me busy for like half a day. And it got me thinking then, I wonder if I could do the same thing, only harder. So that was when I tried and went for the 24 hours, and I raised some money for the Highland Hospice here in Inverness as well. So I thought, like, because if I'm going to do something for 24 hours, might as well make the effort, raise a bit of money, and got people to try and guess how far I'd go. I was aiming to get at least 80k. I was a bit disappointed. I got 70, I can't remember, 70, 78 maybe in the end. So it was a bit less than I wanted. But the state of my hip and my knees afterwards, I was happy to be finished, like, honestly.
That's crazy. You didn't think just walk a few more laps to round it up to the 80? No, you'd had enough at that point.
I think so, yeah. I was like 24 hours on the nose, that'll do. And I think after about half an hour sitting down, I was asleep. So, yeah, it was good fun, though. And it got me interested. I've got lots of friends who do ultra marathons. And I don't really do them myself. I know the world of it a bit. So I'm interested in doing some more, but never ever again on such a small loop. It would have to be in a forest or in the hills or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I watched the little video you made about that, and you had a mood board going every hour, so you'd write down your mood. What kind of inspired that?
It was more of an experiment because particularly through lockdown, I've been really irritable, like just generally. I just find myself getting really angry, kind of for no particular reason. I think it's just because of not being able to do what I'm doing, what I want to do. I just find little things wind me up a lot, and I've been noticing that more through lockdown. So I just thought through the 24 hours, I would keep it as something to actively, chart, see how I was doing, see how I was getting on. And so generally it was all right. There was a few times when I was feeling pretty low and I didn't want to write on the board a couple of times, but it was worth doing, I think. Although I got to the end and I looked at it and one of them had kind of faded and I couldn't remember how I felt at hour 8 or something. So it's a mystery, who knows?
Oh, well, there we go. And what's like after a couple of days, 2 or 3 days, looking back at that, and certainly at that mood board, did anything were there any surprises in there? Did you did it kind of go how you thought it would, or did you kind of think, oh god, that was worse, that bit was really grim, or I thought that bit was going to be easy and that was horrible? And
I'm having to hide again. These midges again getting me. Well, the thing is, like, when I look back at it, I think I kind of remember it as quite a happy experience, and I enjoyed the whole thing. So I kind of forget any of the bad times and forget when I was feeling a bit grumpy and forget when I was like, my hip was really hurting for a few hours. I forgot all that, but looking back at the board, I was like, oh yeah, maybe I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I did. But I'm the kind of person, like, after doing something, I was looking back kind of in a more positive mind than maybe I had during the process. Even like swimming, I can't remember any swims that I've not enjoyed, but there's plenty of times I've been in, it's been really cold, or the conditions have been really tough, and I've been like, I'm not enjoying it very much. But then afterwards, I'm like, yeah, it was quite a good time.
I always used to find that with climbing, you'd climb something as hard as you've ever climbed before, and you'd be absolutely terrified while you're leading this thing, and then all of a sudden you pull over the top and you tie into the beat and think, oh, that was amazing. Yeah, I've got to climb harder stuff. This is awesome. But at the time, you're completely gripped and hating it. But yeah, it's that retrospective kind of type 2 thing, isn't it?
Totally. Yeah, I think a lot of people who are kind of into outdoor stuff have that. And if it's something you enjoy doing, generally you'll look back on it with a positive memory, I think. Yeah.
Most of the time, yeah. There's only a very few times that the things I've done and I've looked back and that was really stupid. But that they're all learning experiences, aren't they?
Exactly.
That, maybe that's bordering into type 3 fun, where you never want to do that again. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, mate. So you sat on the banks a lot now. So let's talk about swimming, mate, because that seems in the last couple of years that seems to be becoming quite a trendy thing. It's becoming more and more popular. It's absolutely fantastic. So talk us through describe wild swimming to people who don't know. Yeah.
So I generally use the word outdoor swimming because I like to do all sorts. So some people say wild swimming, some people say outdoor swimming, whatever. I like it all. But I think it's a real sense. One really good thing about it, and what is getting a lot of people into it, I think, is the kind of sense of freedom you get from it, and the sense of calmness, and it kind of frees your mind to some extent. You know, there's so many people who talk about their reasons for doing it, and it'll be that they're feeling glum or feeling down. Even people who into a bit of cold water, you know, cold water dunks in the morning, just getting into the cold water, and something about that just lifts your mood, just makes you forget what kind of worries you had before. You come out, you're happier, you're chirpier, and it's just like having some kind of shot of endorphins right into you, or endorphins as outdoor swimmers call them. You know, it just leaves you feeling really good. And the more I've got into it, the more I like really interesting and beautiful places. And we're lucky in Scotland that we've got that whole variety of places and the freedom to be able to go and enjoy them, maybe more so than some other, you know, parts of the UK. And yeah, for me, I really like finding beautiful places and challenging swims as well then. So over time, challenging myself more and more and visiting more interesting places, and you know, going up in the mountains and swimming in beautiful places up in the mountains. I just like water, you know, I just like being in, around, on, but I really like being underwater as well. I feel like I could have been an otter in a different work life.
Yeah. Well, what an animal to be. That's super cool. You sent me some amazing pictures to fire on this to let people know you're coming on, and you clearly have. I mean, you're a photographer, but you've clearly got a really a real fascination with underwater photography as well, because you seem to kind of go out of your way to kind of get these really amazing pictures. How did you start with you know, kind of having this idea of, oh, that'd look really cool underwater, and how did that kind of whole process evolve?
I think it was interesting. I've never really thought about it in a way how I think, although I used to live in the Isle of Skye, and where I lived, there was a stream basically 50, 100 meters away from the house, but I hadn't realised it was there till about 6 months into where I was living there. And then I started going one morning and found this amazing clear pool, and I would just step in. It was 12 feet deep, just stepping straight in. It was amazing. And I'm really into photography, and being around water makes me feel creative, and like makes me think of, oh yeah, what kind of new or different or interesting images could I take? So I just started playing around with a GoPro in the water, you know, diving down, leaving it on the bottom of the pool, swimming around and seeing what photos it had taken, you know, taking a photo every half a second, and then putting it into little bits of the caves underwater, and putting it into a waterfall, seeing what it looks like. A lot of trial and error, and then working out that basically you need to have the camera steady underwater. You can swim around, or you can kind of pose for the camera effectively if you want, if you know what you want in a photo. And as long as you've got clear water, you can get some stunning underwater photos. And it's something I've actually, because of lockdown, you end up buying stupid things, don't you? I bought a few props, what I'm going to use to get some more underwater photos, maybe in the next week or so. Possibly right here at Loch Ness, if it's a sunny day. And I'll reveal one of them to you right now. So these photos are going to be artistic interpretations, you could say. This is one of the props right here. I don't know if you recognise that. Is that
the dude off Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah, it's Davy Jones off Pirates of the Caribbean. So I don't know where the idea came from. I think it might be because I've been like some other people having a bit of like bad dreams throughout lockdown, like quarantine dreams. Some people said they are, and some kind of nightmares. Yeah. So that's going to get done in the next week. I'm just trying to keep my mind creative. And water makes me feel creative.
That's brilliant, mate. That's absolutely brilliant.
That was an exclusive for you there.
Yeah. I'm sure we will all look forward to seeing those pictures. Is there more of an outfit, or are you just going to go with like your Speedos or something?
I can't. There's more to the outfit, but I don't want to reveal it. You know.
No, don't, mate. Don't.
There's one more prop, but you'll have to wait and see. Yeah.
Fantastic, mate. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. You've done an amazing film. I'll put a link on after this of it's probably, I think you've said where you've got best known for your water temperature film, which is absolutely fantastic. I love the fact that you don't take yourself too seriously. It's absolutely brilliant. So if you haven't seen that, I'll post it up after this, and you can have a watch and have a right old laugh. What is your favourite temperature to swim in? Like, obviously, you can use your own measurements of water temperature, but is there a particular temperature when you get in and you just think, yeah, this is I can be in for a while here. This is good.
So, but I actually don't really measure it, so I couldn't tell you exactly what it would be. Like, I think round about the kind of high teens, 16, that's really nice. If you're actually looking for, you know, a numerical measure on the temperature, like 16 degrees is beautiful. But I feel like I'm almost like the seasons change. I do like the water temperature changing. So in summer, I really like it when it gets warm, and I like swimming for like 3-4 hours at a time. And then in autumn, actually, it's probably slightly warmer. In autumn's the best time, I think, to go swimming. And then as it changes into winter, it'll drop in Scotland. It'll drop, you know, to zero just about in some places, and it'll freeze up. And I like the challenge then of swimming in ice, swimming in water that's 5 degrees or less. You're okay. You're definitely not going to be in as long at any point. Then, you know, you're going to, you know, depending on temperature, it could be 10 minutes, it could be 20, it could be half an hour, depending on what you try and get out your swim. But I like going through the seasons in that way, and it changing with me. So I like how it is naturally, effectively. Although I don't like the start of summer, because the days can be hot and the water can be really freezing. You're like, nah, how do I catch up, you know? Loch Ness is still not quite warm enough, as warm as I'd like. So in about 3-4 weeks, then it'll be perfect.
Yeah, I'm picking like such a massive body of water like that doesn't change a drastic amount. But you probably, if you're in there regularly, you probably notice that, I guess. Yeah,
it depends where you are. Like, some bits of the loch won't get much above like 6 degrees, but then some other bits, the shore where I'm here is quite shallow getting in. So I mean, it could be 12 degrees right now. I don't know. It could be higher. It could be 14. It's been quite a warm few days, and obviously the water takes longer to warm up. But when it does, it feels sensational. So I'm thinking you could get in tonight and swim half an hour, 40 minutes, no bother. I probably won't be in that long, especially with these midges. But yeah.
And is that are you wetsuiting up for that, or are you just going in with your shorts on?
Not tonight. No wetsuit tonight. No, I'm just going in with my shorts on. Like, because I'm not going to go out far. I'm going to be close to the shore. So if ever I'm like feeling that it would be getting cold, or like feeling that that's enough, I'll be able to just stand up within about 3 or 4 strokes. Big long beach here, which you can swim kind of right alongside, which is ideal. But I do wear a wetsuit. Like, I swim in skins and I swim in a wetsuit, depending on what I want to do, depending on how long I'm in. Like, if I'm swimming out to an island to go for an explore, I'll definitely wear a wetsuit then. If I've not quite acclimatized, you know, I'll wear a wetsuit then. And longer swims, for a bit of safety, I'll wear a wetsuit, yeah. But it totally depends on what I want to get out of it. Like, I think wearing a wetsuit, it changes the experience a bit. You lose somewhat the kind of the experience and the feel of the water. And some people never swim with a wetsuit. But at the same time, wearing a wetsuit, you can feel stronger and faster. I'm way faster in a wetsuit, and you feel powerful, and you can do a proper training swim or maybe see more things. So yeah, it depends what I want to get out of it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Tom just put up a really good question. You obviously swim a lot on your own. What sort of you know, you're super experienced, but what sorts of kind of mitigation do you have in place to, you know, kind of control the danger of swimming in cold water?
Yeah, so it's something that I would never recommend unless you really knew what you were doing, to go swimming alone, particularly in somewhere when the water is cold, and particularly if you can do any kind of distance. So for me, a lot of it is just my experience, you know, knowing where I am, knowing how I feel, knowing how to get into the water and how to get out, how to get warm and dry and dressed really quickly. And a lot of that comes from experience over time. So swimming regularly, knowing, you know, how my body feels when I've got to get out, what I've got to do. I immediately get dry and get changed and get moving. So as soon as I get moving, I start the kind of process of recovery, which once you get out of the water, that can be the trickiest time, because your core temperature is still dropping potentially, and if you're not quite thinking straight, you know, that's when you can get into some issues afterwards. But yeah, experience really comes down to it, and also where I am and what I'm doing. To my mind, I don't generally take that many risks when I'm swimming alone. So in winter, particularly, I've usually got someone else with me, and I'm keeping it really conservative. I'm like not really going out my depth, even if I'm swimming alone often. And then other times, I'll go for big long swims on my own. Trusting my own decision making and my own ability to kind of to work out what I need to do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess that's the I guess that comes back to your planning part of it, doesn't it? And kind of like you're saying, what you want to get out of it. Do you think those are more rewarding? Do you think those ones where you're in kind of on your own, making those decisions? You know, it's all you. Do you think they're the best swims you have?
Possibly. I think they're the most memorable ones I've had for sure. Yeah. So I guess you get different things out of it. If you're swimming alone or with other people, you get that shared sense of achievement. If you're with other people, you get that camaraderie. You can also be a lot easier to get in if you're with other people, because you can psych yourself out. If you're on your own, you're like, oh man, I'm just gonna go home today. But yeah, I think so. You kind of you feel. I'm maybe a bit of a swim loner, so I'm maybe a bit misanthropic or something. I like doing things on my own to some extent. So I like the achievement of doing something on my own, or making my own decisions. If I suddenly want to, I like swimming places and getting out and going for a walk and then getting back in. Swim hiking or swim running. I like doing a bit of that. So I like to have the ability to just follow my own nose and have the freedom to be able to do that, which obviously I've not really got right now with the whole lockdown, but in time, yeah, I'll get back to that.
Yeah, so you mentioned that kind of swim hiking, swim kind of running. This is this was a new concept to me when I was kind of doing a bit of digging on you, mate. And you've done this across Scotland, haven't you?
Yeah, kind of. There's a big asterisk because I had to hitchhike part of the way, because I had to go to the doctor on the second day because I had like an eye infection. It might have been from a midgie, some kind of animal bite, but some kind of insect bite. But anyway, yeah, last year I went from Poolew to Dingwall, which is quite a recognised kind of canoe route. People canoe it and do portages. So I said I'm going to swim it instead, and just swim and then walk the portage bits. And I took a slightly different route to what they would do, taking a canoe. But yeah, I love the whole getting yourself from A to B under your own steam, carrying everything with you. It's a lot easier if you've got like some kind of craft to carry your stuff, because like towing food, you basically, I took a massive waterproof rucksack that once you closed it up, it just floated on top of the water, and you tow that behind you. And yeah, it was the trip. That trip was a 6-day, 5 or 6 day, I can't remember, trip. But it really got me interested in doing the longer distance ones again, and being self-sufficient. So I took a bus to the start, swam to the end, got a bus back home. I camped the whole way, or slept in a bothy one night. Apart from going to the doctor, I could have had my own food the whole time. And yeah, I just like that sense of you take everything with you, and you could change your plans effectively because you're totally self-contained. And particularly in the Scottish Highlands, I think there's loads of potential to go out and swim to lots of the uninhabited little islands if you're a strong enough swimmer. And I've got a friend out there, Colin, who's big into that as well. And yeah, I think swim hiking is something that, as people, you said it yourself, more and more people are getting into outdoor swimming every year. Like I think the last 5 years has gone hugely up, the numbers. And as more people get into it, they're more interested in seeing what else can be done with it. They start off dippers and then they progress to swimming like the Channel. I know people have done that, taken that massive leap. And so they're looking for, what comes next, how do I make it more adventurous? And particularly maybe this year when everyone wants to get outdoors more and wants to have that freedom because we've had it taken away from ourselves, I think you're going to see more and more people get into that. Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. What do you prefer, swimming in saltwater, seawater? Is there, have you got a preference?
I like it all. Yeah, I don't know. I really like rivers. But I really like just exploring rivers, so finding a nice pool and diving in, which would be, like you say, he's just having a dip, he's not having a swim at all. But I really like that, and exploring underwater, almost to some extent almost free diving, but I'm not a free diver. I don't prefer one over the other. I like them all. It just depends what I want to get out of it. Yeah.
Interesting. I must admit, when I lived in Scotland, and the work that we did, one course I did swiftwater rescue, which you've probably done yourself. I'm not a paddler, so I was a land-based kind of like mountaineer. but the swiftwater rescue stuff really fascinated me, and the hydraulics and the movement and how water moves. So, we go out to the Findhorn and, jump in that and and just, explore and mess around and like ended up working with a guy, Jim Gibson, running courses for swiftwater rescue. It was just, it really fascinated me. And I'm a massive fan of swimming in rivers and just, kind of messing about and just to get an understanding of what the water's doing, I think is a really, really amazing thing. And like you say, you can find some incredible pools and, some really amazing hidden spots that, it feels like no one's ever been there before, even though people kind of float over it every, like most weekends and stuff in boats. But certainly rivers, swimming in rivers for me is the way forward. I think just that whole kind of exploration is super cool. Have you been down to the Bridge of Brown?
Yeah, so it's interesting you say that because I do occasionally do a little bit of outdoor instruction stuff as well. And Bridge of Brown, right on the border between Moray and Highland, is one of the venues we use for gorge walking with some groups, and it's stunning. Yeah, absolutely beautiful place. I found a dead sheep in there once, which was interesting. Halfway up this gorge, and in one of the pools, there's a dead sheep floating around. So that's something you've always got to be aware of in Scotland as well. What's upstream from you?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, it's a stunning spot. I mean, it's a shame it's not like 10 times as long as what it is, isn't it? But it's such a beautiful place to be, and certainly taking youngsters into that environment who have never been in there before, it just kind of blows their mind. It's like a nature's hydrosliders. It's pretty cool, man. It's it's a good spot. Well known spot as well. Well known spot. So let's talk about Scotland at the moment, and you're a Gaelic speaker, presenter. You're well known for your kind of swimming adventures and your little short kind of documentaries on that. How did that kind of come about?
Yeah, so I mean, I was born in Australia actually, but my family are mostly Scottish. So I grew up here in Scotland, and I've been speaking Gaelic ever since I was, a baby. I learned Gaelic and English alongside one another growing up, first of all in the Isle of Skye and then in Inverness. And over the years, I was always doing little bits and pieces with the media and bits and pieces, and then I ended up came around. I was a journalist at the BBC for 3 years, and mainly working through Gaelic, working a bit of English as well, and shooting packages. So I'd go out with the camera, have to find a story, shoot a package, make a radio piece as well, do the whole thing together at once. And I did that for about 3 years. I enjoyed it first couple of years, and then I was really like, I want to do something else and be more creative and be outdoors. And so luckily, that's really when I was getting into outdoor swimming properly, I think, and exploring new places. And started a blog. A producer from the BBC saw that and asked me to start making some short films, which led to stuff like the midges challenge, the water temperature chart as well. Just like I had these ideas, I just want to get it out there, get it made, and that just led on to the BBC Alpa series, Ganushka, which is the outdoor swimming program on BBC Alp. I keep changing hands here because the midges keep eating me. And so, I presented that, and I've actually presented a few kind of different other programs on BBC Alp as well. But it's programs that involve being in the outdoors, and if I can combine that with creativity, that's what's really interesting to me. And doing it through Gaelic it's just natural to me. It's a language that I speak at home if I'm at my parents. I just speak it to them, and I spoke it to my dog. He died unfortunately last year, but it's just natural to me to do so.
That's crazy. Am I right? I was doing a bit of research on this. Am I right in thinking there's only just over 1% of Scotland that are actually Gaelic speakers?
Yeah, so it's a really small number right now. It's a situation. I mean, you could look at it in a couple of ways. You could look at Gaelic as a language being in a really difficult situation because the numbers have gone, really small, 50,000-ish, or you could look at it as in a position of potential really good growth because it's only in the last 30 years that they've taught it through schools, and they've actually I was one of the first kind of pupils back into Gaelic medium education because of course they banned it in schools years before that, and you get the strap for using it, and so that left a whole generation who never learned it from their parents, for example. So it's in a situation where if you're a pessimist, you could say, well, only 1% of the language, only 1% of the country speak it. Or if you're an optimist, you could say yes, but potentially a lot more people could speak it. And I'm always encouraging people to learn a wee bit, especially if you're in Scotland and you want to say Loch, you're speaking Gaelic straight away. If you're up in the hills, having at least a little bit of Gaelic helps you kind of pronounce some of the hill names and understand what they mean, for example. So I think people in the outdoors often have an appreciation of it and get it a bit more. But for me, it's just natural to do so. And, I look at the hills around me and I can see Gaelic kind of all over the place here.
No, it's pretty amazing because am I right in saying there's over 100 words that describe mountains in Gaelic? Yeah,
so depending on the kind of mountain it is, I mean, everyone will know a few off the top of their head. You got Carn, Bain, Stop, Tom. But then if you start looking at the list, there's over 100, and each kind of one maybe describes the kind of shape of it or how it looks in some way. So they're all different. They're very descriptive, quite descriptive language once you get into it. I couldn't list 100 off the top of my head either, so don't try and quiz me on that.
Yeah, you could have said you could have, and I would have believed it.
That's true. Damn.
But do you think that connects you more to your land, that you're in the landscapes that you kind of swim in and you explore, and do you kind of feel a better understanding, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think so, and I think maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm Scottish, but I love doing adventures and journeys through Scotland as well, because whenever I'm out in the hills, up in some remote glen, it's always got me thinking about, look at the map and think why places are named what they are. But then it starts you thinking all about bigger questions about Scotland, about how the land is used and who owns the land and questions like that, which is something I'm interested in and getting more into as I get older, I guess. But I think it definitely gives you a better connection to the place. It gives you a better appreciation of the place and understanding of why places are named what they are and how people use them, and understanding as well why so few people live, in the Highlands. And you'll go up in the hills and you'll see little old buildings where people used to live years ago, but not anymore. And it gives you an appreciation of why that is as well. And I think, part of the reason is a lot of people cleared off land, but part of the reason probably these midges chase some people away as well.
Yeah. When I lived up there, I always told people, friends that came up from England or Wales, and you'd take them somewhere to go climbing, and I'd be like, oh man, this is amazing. It'd be like, everyone thinks it's rubbish in Scotland. Don't let the secret out. It's I never wanted everyone to know Scotland is so incredible.
Someone once said, I was doing an interview the other day, and someone said it was a guy from England, but he's been coming to Scotland quite a lot, and he said, I think the Highlands are the best kept secret in the whole of the UK. And I was like, well, to me they're not a secret. I'm just surprised not everyone knows about them. But I mean, summer it's crazy busy here, but if everyone knew about how amazing this place is, maybe it'd be even busier.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's almost like a dividing line across Inverness. It's like everyone thinks Edinburgh's really far north, and then they go to Inverness and they're like, oh, you're up there. But then there's still a lot of Scotland, isn't there, north of Inverness? That's absolutely incredible. That west coast is absolutely phenomenal. It's just such amazing country and such amazing land. It's really desolate, isn't there? There's not a lot of people living up there. And even on the islands now as well. I was lucky enough to go spend a week climbing on Mingalay. We got dropped off out there, and had a week climbing out there, and it's mind blowing. Absolutely mind blowing. It's so stunning. We're climbing around, abseiling into these massive sea cliff walls, and there's basking sharks swimming across, within a few feet of you, and it's just it's absolutely amazing. You just think, you can't be in Scotland, this can't be, it's not right from what the general norm, what you hear about it. So it's absolutely stunning. We certainly do miss being, I mean, don't get me wrong, Yorkshire's a lovely place, but I miss the freedom. I think that's one thing I noticed here, with the access code that we have up there. It's just so fortunate, and here it's just, there's footpaths and stuff, you know, no biking signs and things like that. You know, you just want to explore. You know, I really want to go out and explore on my bike because that's the chosen mode of transport. And, you know, there's just like, you know, locked gates and things like that. And it's like, wow, this is just, you know, I thought we'd moved on as people from this, you know, like, yeah, it seems a real shame.
I think Scotland could be, if there was, I don't know what the situation's like in England because I don't really spend that much time there, but if you look at Scotland as a good example, you know, if you were looking to campaign for more access, you know, for more, you know, for hill walking, for mountain biking, for swimming. Swimming's a big one where access is a real issue in England compared to Scotland. Obviously, the population's quite different there, like way less people up here in Scotland than the Highlands. But yeah, you could learn a lot from us. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Forward thinking leaders. So what's next for you, mate? What have you got in the pipeline? What's coming up? What can we look forward to?
Short term, swimming in this loch, running away from these midges. Longer term, I'm not sure. I'm really interested in doing like a long distance multi-day swim. And sitting here on Loch Ness, it's a kind of, you could swim from here all the way to the other side of Scotland. So that's one I've thought about doing. I don't know. You know, opportunities keep arising, and as long as I keep getting to be outdoors and be creative, I don't want to kind of plan it too much, particularly this year, where it was like I had quite a few plans over summer, and obviously they all got totally scuppered. So in a way, I just want to go and do stuff that I really enjoy this year, and not make huge plans in case they don't come around. But yeah, just being outdoors, being creative, and hopefully a few more kind of TV projects coming up as well over the next year, which would be really good. I still just want to be out in the Scottish Hills, you know, just running around, having a good time without having too much, without having to be accountable to anyone to some extent, you know, just having that freedom. Yeah. Like, what do I want to do today? Do I want to go swimming or up a hill? I'll decide when I get there.
Yeah, absolutely, mate, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what. Do you fancy taking us for a swim?
Oh yeah, go on then. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh. Sorry, I'm just going to strip off.
We'll put you out of your misery. And,
I'm going to strip off real quickly here.
Do you want to do a dance or something like that with it as well? Maybe. Oh, here we go, ladies. So Calum's also done he's also done a full, so he's done a minute-long midget challenge, which is where he goes to a spot where he is now and basically puts his phone up and times stuff for a minute, getting eaten to death, which appears to me to be really daft, but it's extremely funny to watch. So you've also done a fully naked one as well, which I thought was quite entertaining.
It wasn't a wise move, I have to say, but you know, the things you do when you're, I don't know. I couldn't explain why.
I think the next time that you do that, mate, I think you should put a picture up or something like in 2 days' time when your face is just kind of like, looks like you've got chicken pox or something.
Well, here's the thing, like that's what I was expecting, but it was weird. My face like barely reacted the next day. It was weird. Yeah, I think the exposure wasn't long enough to them. I don't know. Yeah, I am stumbling currently.
Long enough by look at it. That's all right, mate. How's the temperature feel, mate?
It's nice and warm. Right. Pretty fucking cold, actually. Yeah. The slight shake is probably my shivers now. I reach way. Right, I'm ready for the launch into the water now.
Excellent. How are we up to, mate? Yep. Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Woo. Beautiful.
There'll be a lot of people on this call extremely jealous, mate. I must admit, aside from the midges, I'd love to be with you right now. I must admit that looks absolutely stunning, mate.
It's beautiful, and because you're out on the water, if you've ever experienced the Scottish midges, they're horrible. But as soon as you go out maybe 20 feet into the water, they generally disappear. So yeah, they're away from me now, and I'm heading towards this old wreck. There's an old wreck of a boat here. I just want to have a quick look at, which might be a good spot for my Davy Jones photo, you know.
Brilliant.
Bit of a planning when I came here tonight, but it's too dark tonight, so I'll have to come back during the week. But yeah, absolutely sensational conditions.
Yeah, it's lovely, mate. Do you use a filter on your GoPro at all, or just kind of jam it under the water and?
Yeah, just jam it under. Yeah, I kind of I'll often attach it to a rock or something using the big chest harness, or I have got an old tripod that I stick underwater, and it barely works now as a tripod because it's been in salt water so much. But yeah, I'll jam that underwater and kind of angle where I want the kind of camera to point, and yeah, a lot of trial and error taking photos underwater. So there's been many trips where I've not really got very much, but I've enjoyed my swims. So it doesn't matter too much. So you can see here.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a big old boat, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, it's just great being in the water.
Amazing. Super cool. Hey, listen, mate, we might we can wrap this up, mate, and let you enjoy your evening swimming, and we'll look forward to seeing some photos in the next week or so about some very creative stuff that you're going to come up with. So
yeah, good.
We'll all be looking forward to that. What if people want to find out more about you, mate, and do some stuff? You mentioned you were doing your website this week. You've got a new website coming up.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm literally, well, I didn't do anything on it today. I was working on other stuff, but I'm putting together my website this week, which I should have done a long time ago, but I never got around to it. So they can follow me on social media, or I shall put my website up when I get it finished later this week, hopefully. Just tell you a bit more about me, who I am, and kind of some of the stuff I've done, and maybe some future projects as well, hopefully. And yeah, I think you were talking maybe you'd like to come up and swim Loch Ness after the Olympics, Steve. So yeah, mate, help you out with that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That'd be awesome. Definitely keen to come up and get involved, mate. For sure.
Good.
Sounds
it's actually
good.
It's a bit colder. It's colder than I expected, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, you have to say that because you're live on camera. You're not going to say it's shite, are you? No one would believe you anyway. Like looking at the views there, mate, no one would believe you. So that's awesome, mate. Hey, listen, really appreciate your time. We'll catch up later on in the week, mate. And yeah, all the best.
Thank you, Steve. I really enjoyed it.
Take care and enjoy, my friend.
Thank you. I'll swim to shore and put you down safely. Thank you.
Right on, mate. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, Steve. Catch you later.
Right on, mate. Thanks very much. Right, folks. What a lovely man to chat to. I'm extremely jealous of him being in the water right now, which is crazy because I'm sat in a very hot office. Thanks very much for tuning in. And this will be on the IGTV on my website with a little bit of a write-up. Happy days. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see who we can get on next week. Take care, guys. Have a great week. All the best. Ciao for now.